Hello, everybody. It is me, Episkatoozy, or otherwise known as Crimson. Today, we're going to be talking about a series called Trapped in a Web Novel as a Good for Nothing, or as an alternate title, it's Trapped in a Web Novel as a Trash. Now, this is a series that I've seen popular, like the synopsis of these series where instead of being transported and isekai into a fantasy world, you get transported into the novel of someone getting transported into a game-like setting, but in the real world instead of a fantasy setting. So instead, the monsters, instead of coming from like forest or dungeons, like they just end up dungeons and forest ends up appearing in the real world and stuff like that. And there's another trend that's happening where sort of like the villainess trend where it's like I'm in the body of the villainess, or I'm like the villainess, like, or I'm like the queen villainess. And other series like that have been popping up and getting popular is also like a guy version of that where it's people getting transported to the body of someone that's considered like rude or mean or trash, but it's like a good person being put into the body of someone that's normally rude, and then they need to like change like their life around in order to like not having like a bad ending, as you would put it. I think that's sort of like the what is it? I think I have the book around here. What's it called? Like My Next Life as a Villainess Will All Lead to Doom. Oh yeah, there it is. I see it. I have the book here somewhere. It's sort of like that. So you don't want to have the bad ending. So you just want to like be smart, cunning, and depending on the setting. In this novel, you need to be smart and cunning, and you need to have sort of like moves ahead because like the main character has like this hierarchy with his family like that. But before that, I'm just gonna say spoilers ahead of me just talking about the series. I'm just gonna be babbling on about it. If you want to check it out, you should check it out. I already said the title of it. The title's also gonna be at the title of this video, of this review, and this just my thoughts and stuff like that about this series. So this is a series that just automatically, because of like the world and the setting and stuff like that, just automatically reminds me of just the basic trend of just solo leveling and other series. The series really reminds me of Omniscient Reader, where it's like you have like sponsors and you have gods watching you in the game world that can watch you like in Twitch streams where you have chatters being the rulers of the world, and they pretty much can sponsor you, and they give characters karma points. I'm pretty sure that you get the same karma points in Omniscient Reader, where you're pretty much they just watch you and they can like and they're gods of like mythology and other series. I really like it how they can like give them points and give them skills, and they can like watch them do this. And just like in other series, of course there's like a calamity to happen, so just like in Omniscient Reader, another series where like someone gets transported into like a novel, like in this, instead of being transported to a fantasy world in the real world, that's a web novel that the character becomes a main character or a side character. In this one, there's a main character in this, but the main character of this series, not the main character of the series that he's in. Oh, so much meta, dude. You have the main character being a side character that ends up having a bad end, but then he ends up having to change that since he's a good person in this body. He ends up knowing. There's also like in these series where like the main character is someone that has perfect memory. So basically, because they read the whole novel, they just and when they're in this world, they pretty much know all events that lead up to this. I thought that the main character of this series, and the main character is Choi Yu Sung or Choi Yu. I thought that he would be a character that would just have perfect memory, but of course, because of plot, which is good in this case, the main character ends up saving himself by like at some point he's like, I don't remember some things, I'm forgetting some things, I can only do what I do. But of course, at certain special moments, you might remember things. But I think the world building in this series is pretty good, just like an Omniscient Reader, where he ends up like getting like a skill. Of course, the main character ends up being someone that isn't like Solo Leveling, where like he's like automatically once he gets powers, he's like automatically S level, or he like ranks up super quickly in order to get to S level. Instead, this main character is actually like progressing really slowly and actually having it. In order to like have it, they do have a crutch of him being a part of like a very wealthy family. So but at least they make it so if you have money, at least you have a chance at becoming, like an awakened one, someone that's a player, that's a part of this game like fantasy world where you have to fight monsters and level up and get skills and stuff like that. So the main character's father, he ends up meeting him, and then because he's a new version of the main character in his family, instead of him being seen as a trash, he's seen as a more worthy person to be able to be a part of this family. So then his father, this main character's father, he gives him like a stone, like an awakening stone, for him to like do it. But people who go through this might die because it like hurt. It like awake forcibly awakens you when you shouldn't normally be awakened. So the main character, ends up like going through like this harsh pain that he needs to go through, but he also becomes an irregular. So an awakened can become a regular or an irregular. And I think like the main character of the novel that is in, a character named Kim Ujin, also reminds me of the of the regressor and omniscient reader, where it's like a guy that he's went through the novel like 5 times, but when the MC joins the web novel in that series, it's his sixth regress. Is that how it works, or is it his seventh regress? So then like but the main character, but that main character sort of seems the same in this series. He seems like a guy that was supposed to kill the main character and get to the bad end before the novel started. But because the main character messes up things, cause and effect happens. Where because he time traveled into the past of the starting of the novel as this main character, things are different now. So now instead of the main character of the series hating the MC, he ends up liking the MC, being intrigued in the MC, and as things go along, this main character's like, I want this guy. Like, I want this guy a part of my team. Like, he wants the MC to be a part of the MC's team, which is funny when you think about it. Other characters in the series, like I said, like the main character's father, like hit the hierarchy of that family. I like it how in martial arts series there's a lot of like hierarchies of families. When they actually focus on that with other things, it's kind of interesting if it's done right. I think this series and other series like it, like story wise in these stories, like a lot of like there's a lot of like content in these stories that I really enjoy, and I think other people would enjoy, and I think it works out, especially how there's another series that I've been reading alongside with this one called Leveling Up with the Gods, where it's pretty much the same thing, where you're like going up like a tower and fighting off monsters. This series isn't really like that, where it's pretty much like a soul leveling omniscient reader type of thing. I mean, it sort of like has like a tower sort of system like that, but there's like a guy called administrators that are like merchants that you can buy stuff from in Leveling with the Gods, and that's sort of like they have that in this series too, where you can get dimensional merchants and you can summon them, and he summons this cute bear called Ping Pong Nim. It's the most cutest thing ever, and the relationship develops because the main character knows things from the future and can get things from people. I like how people in these series never question, at least in Leveling with the Gods, like they question the main character based on him having future knowledge. But in this series, they're just like, you're kind of suspicious, but we'll think about that later, which is funny. I like it how there's not too much comedy in the series, and that it's somewhat semi-serious. And things going. The main character also has two bodyguards named Jin Yuri and Jin Woo, which is this Jin Do Yoon is like this. They're both blue-haired siblings, and one of them, the guy, can guy bro can guy bro can turn into like this beast transformation. He's rank A. Of course, they have ranks in the CS system. If you understand the game systems in these worlds, and it goes from F to to S and then S plus. The main character ends up being like an F and not an what is it? He's A B C D E F. He ends up being an E. And I like it how before he takes the awakening stone, he says, as long as I'm not an F, then I'm good. But even if I become an F, I'm still good because by leveling up and knowing the future, I can make myself stronger. But of course, he becomes an E just right off the worst. But he ends up getting to D, somewhat sometime in the series. But he ends up, like in these series, especially martial arts series, the main character ends up being someone that, even if he is low level, he has skills that can match up with people in higher level. Then based on, strategy and skill play and stuff like that, he can end up matching levels with higher people and surprising people and getting like recognition and being stronger. But he's still gonna have a hard time. So that at least like good matchups, good fights. I think that the way that they have the authors have the main characters use their powers in these series are really awesome, and very good content to watch and view and stuff like that. Trying to think of other things that I can talk about with the world building. And another character that I can talk about also is that the main character ends up like using his powers to find like to because he has like a skill that can copy other people's skills, which reminds me of a few series of the animes. So then he ends up trying to like just copy skills from people, but he can only have a limited amount. And then he ends up just finding someone by like seeing the future. He ends up trying to find people to join his team. He doesn't want too many people. He wants people that he knows are strong. So he ends up finding someone that turns out to be a villain in the future, but then is a good guy right now. So he ends up recruiting them, and I like it how she's like this girl that can becomes like this ice villain that's like a calamity class because they have calamity class for villains. I like how there's heroes and villains of this that players are just automatically good and heroes, but then there's villains. that are like people that are like players but are just evil, and they have an organization that's called Demon God Worshippers. I like it how this is a funny moment that I got to where like if you've also gotten into it where like the villain the demon god worship tried to recruit the main character of the novel, and there's like, hey, join us because we can make you strong, give you potential, and the main character's like, I'll join you, and you're just like, what? You go to the next chapter and he's like, I'll join you if I'm the leader. Like, just totally just badass how he's just like, I'll join you. Like, the main character joins the bad guys, but only if he's the leader. So of course the bad guys are just like, no, they're conceited, they're stupid, even though that they don't know what the main character knows of this guy. I like how even though the main character is OP, and like I said, how he's sort of like the regressor from the main character. Oh, I have totally forgot about that. Well, like and the only reason why I thought that he was like that, I actually looked back, and he's actually someone that was in a fantasy world. Like he got isekai, but then when he went back to his regular world was the novel, so he's just automatically in another player world. But then he also doesn't know that the main character is an isekai person in this web novel. When the main character is an isekai person that went back in time at the web novel, like like I said earlier, just totally just meta. It's super funny when you look at it, but you can just enjoy the story for what it is, and it works out. There's also like I think one of like the when you get sponsors from the gods where they can watch you like in the like a stream Twitch chat type of thing. There's like one of the gods that like the main character of the story, not this story, this story. Okay, I'm getting confused at what I'm talking about, but like one of the guys that likes the main character is Loki, the god of mischief, and his personality is so funny to see it, even though it's only text based. All of it is text based, but it's super funny, especially in Omniscient Reader, where the main character ends up fighting like this super powerful like demon god worshiper named I think Rachel, and it's this red hair chick that's just a psychopath, and the main character like the psychopath is like rank A or rank S, and the main character is rank E fighting against this, and then I like it how Loki ends up, I guess, really liking the main character because Loki is like, "What is this rank E fighting against this psychopath?" Like he's probably like laughing his ass off, being like, "Why is it how is he gonna fight off against him and survive?" But then he survives, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna give you so much karma points. You're gonna be able to buy so much stuff from the merchant shop because of how funny this is." And like it's just so many moments in this are just interesting. World building is amazing. Like I said, so many things that are like this. They also have like because like things aren't just happening randomly. Things have been like this is just the way that the world is. Like the world's involved. Like players, associations, guilds, pretty awesome. And like even news are a part of it. Like one thing that I like that other series I don't do because they just want to go through it because it's pretty much like not detailed because you can just go through things quickly or as much as you want, but it did go by quickly. But I like how detailed like the main character is when once he takes the awakened stone, he tries to become a player, and when you try to become like recruited to become a player, like they did it like a school where he has to take a written test. He then gets his power level measured. I like it how they didn't do like the thing in this series where once the MC's power level is like like evaluated, he ends up breaking the machine. He's seen as trash, like the like a trash of the trash. But no, the main character, once he takes the test, he just goes through the test normally. He's not too powerful, but he's also not weak. So he's like and he's also, I think his the level that he got once he got his powers was an all rounder. So, but he's just above average of an all rounder where he's not too powerful. But at the same time, he's not too average. So he can just level up and become as powerful as he needs to be now once he gets past that rank. And remember when you go past ranks from like F to E and then E to D, like you go through like these like mystical like things that aren't that you don't get evaluated in the real world, but instead you get evaluated by mid-level like creatures that the gods give power to like rank you up. And then like I said, like another series, like the main like in the future there's like calamities. Like I think right now, as a spoiler for Soul Leveling, there's like a calamity that's gonna happen soon, but he can like do stuff in the past in order to get stronger and change fates of people and make people stronger in order to get to that point in if there's like so much that happens and so many years that go by before the so many years that go by before the MC gets to that point, then he can just do whatever he needs to do, and then you can get to more content once a calamity happens. Who knows if most series don't even get to the calamity part? So I hope this series does, because so much stuff can happen to get to that point. Yeah, I think I pretty much talked about everything, and then like I think the last thing I'll talk about is the hierarchy with his family is pretty nice, where it's siblings fighting after siblings, like doing things, but the main character doesn't even care about that. Just says, I don't really need to care about that. I'll do it when it happens." And then things happen to him, but then he overcomes it, which is cool because you can see what the siblings try to do, but then he ends up just beating the shit out of them since he's now this cunning guy that's smart. But then he also has cute sides to him that can work out, and it seems like in character because of like he's able to like do better in this life because in his past life he was someone that was like an overachiever that was an orphan that tried to like make his life better, but then after a certain point he ends up dying and then getting sent to this world, so now he can do things differently and be more smarter, be more I guess with how much he studied in his past life and how much hard working he did, he can like do things in this life to be different and to be better, and he can also be smart about it. He goes through this thing where he's just like, I don't want to die, so he always does, but then he goes in risk situations for the people that he loves, that he can like that he knows that the main character that before he was put in the body like these people, but but had like depression because of like his situation that he was in. If you read this series, but then now he can like be better about it. He can like how when these people are ends up in these bodies, like they end up getting the memories of the people in the bodies that they put in, so it makes things not awkward. In some series, you just get put into the body, but you don't get memories, which makes things a little bit more difficult and can be interesting for series. But I like it how sometimes they get the memory and they can embody this person. So even if people look at them and be like, "Who are you?" Like, you don't seem like my sibling or you don't seem like my friend, but then they can be like, well, I have the memories, so I can like at least pretend in certain situations to be this person, but can still be a better version of this person and can really evaluate the characters that they're playing and do other things with other characters in order to have things going. And I right now I think there's only 74 chapters, and I think that this series is doing pretty good. And I can't wait to see more chapters in the future, see where this goes, and see how it goes. And I need to catch up on Omniscient Reader. I was thinking of doing a review on that, but I haven't done it yet. There's a lot of series I've been reading and watching that I just don't review because I just so much to time. Don't really don't really like talking too much. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope I talked about this series good enough. And if there's anything else, if there's anything that you liked about the series, talk about it in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this series and what you would think about what I talked about. I hope it didn't come off as rambling, even though that it probably did. But if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. And if you didn't, then you can leave a dislike if you want to. It's all fate for you to decide. I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, or evening, wherever that may be. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Other series that I could recommend would also be, like I said in this whole entire review, Omniscient Reader, because this series is pretty similar but a little bit different. It can have its own quirks and other things to make it interesting and to make it, oh, intrigue your mind. Well, there's also Leveling Up with the Gods, which I think combines a lot of series together, and people even in comment sections of these chapters saying where it's like combines a whole bunch of things into like a masterpiece, I would say, even though that it's only at like 60 or 16 or like 20 chapters, but I think it's been doing pretty good. So Leveling Up with the Gods, that's like a golden seal of approval from me and from other people. Really check out that one along with this one. Not discrediting other ones, but there's a lot of series around right now from the past 3 or 4 years that have just been top notch quality. There are, even though like the series is a lot of trash, but there's so many good ones as well. They're just popping up and being amazing. And like the OG good one for my last recommendation, Soul Leveling. But I think everyone has read that series so far, so who knows where that's gonna go. But yeah, if you like I said, this is the end. I keep on making this go further, but yeah, bye. Have a great day. Bye. See you later.